Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ocean Yemi's channel. So today I'm going to go over Kendrick Johnson. Um, I'm gonna go through a couple videos. I'm gonna try it and see if I can fit everything in. If I can't fit everything in, what I don't do today, I'll do tomorrow, not another time. And hopefully I'll remember because there's a lot of stuff that's this that is a bit there's also, I think there's a series out about Kendrick Johnson's death. Mind you, it looks similar to something called an Emmett Till situation. um I'm going to show one or two videos to represent certain stuff because certain peoples on other platforms has picked up certain stuff as well. And even if I don't look into the other stuff like the autopsy, um the parents also wrote a letter so they can get justice for their son. However, as we know with most things with Jelani Day, etc., is normally nothing comes out of it most of the time. So let me start by revisiting the death of um, Kendrick Johnson. So let me try play this.
The death of Kendrick Johnson remains suspicious to this day. Published by All That's Interesting. Kendrick Johnson was found dead in January 2013 in a rolled-up gym mat at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia. A terrible accident or something more sinister? On January 11, 2013, the body of 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found in the most unusual of circumstances. Tied down and rolled up in a school gym mat. Mysterious death of Kendrick Johnson was initially ruled an accident by law enforcement, but his family was not convinced. The initial autopsy revealed that Johnson died due to positional asphyxia, or that he suffocated as a result of being stuck upside down in an enclosed space for an extended period of time. After 24 hours of being found, the investigators ruled Johnson's death an accident. The sheriff's department asserted that Johnson must have accidentally fallen into the center of the mat while reaching for a sneaker, which he had stored there so as not to have to pay for a locker. But Johnson's parents felt that his death was not being taken seriously, in part because of his race or because a larger cover-up was at play. The mysterious death of Kendrick Johnson, the boy in the rolled-up gym mat. Kendrick Johnson lived with his family in Valdosta, Georgia and attended Lowndes High School. Family and friends described him as a sweet and quiet boy. The three-sport athlete and dreamed of playing professional football. But those dreams were cut short when his body was found by students entering the gymnasium rolled up in a standing gym mat. Sneakers were shoved behind his knees. But investigators quickly closed their case on the theory that Johnson had simply fallen into the mat while reaching for one of his sneakers. Indeed, when the mat was first unrolled, Johnson did have one arm stretched above his head and the other down around his waist as though struggling for his shoe. Just in his socks. Students had also told police that it was common for them to leave their belongings in the mats when they didn't want to pay for a locker. The mat in which Johnson was found was around 6 feet tall. Rolled up, the mat left a 14-inch hole in diameter in the center. Johnson's shoulders measured 19 across and he was 5 feet, 10 inches tall. It seemed possible that if Kendrick was trying to squeeze into the center of the mat, he could have scrunched his shoulders together to make himself narrower. His parents would later maintain that his size versus the size of the mat alone was enough to debunk the investigators' case. Almost a full day had passed until Johnson had been discovered. As he was upside down, blood would have rushed to Johnson's head and he eventually would have begun to bleed from his facial orifices. But this is one of the most baffling mysteries of this case. The black and white gym shoe that lay on the ground below Kendrick Johnson, the one he was presumed to be reaching for, was lying on top of a pool of blood, but there was no blood on the shoe itself. A hoodie and a pair of orange and black gym shoes were also found lying on the floor of the gym, as well as traces of blood on the wall nearby. Investigators tested the blood, which revealed that it did not belong to Kendrick Johnson. Also reported that the blood had likely been there for a long time. Investigators did not take the hoodie and orange and black gym shoes into evidence.
Why?
Suspicions arise in the Kendrick Johnson case. Johnson's parents were suspicious of the investigation from the beginning. They believed that the sheriff's department was too quick to rule out foul play as a cause for Johnson's death, considering that within 24 hours of finding Kendrick Johnson's body, they concluded that it was an accident. The Johnsons were also sure that their son's body had been moved, which was corroborated by Lowndes County Coroner, Bill Watson. Georgia state law dictates that the coroner be contacted immediately on the discovery of a body, but Watson claimed that he was not notified until 6 hours later.
Why so long?
Furthermore, Johnson's parents argued, if this was an accident, how could no one have heard Kendrick call for help in a high school of over 3,000 students? Johnson's parents finally believed that their son's death was not being taken seriously because of his race. Kendrick Johnson was black and the Lowndes County Sheriff, Chris Prines, and his investigators were all white. In 2013, racism in Valdosta, Georgia, was still very much alive. Emily's attorney, Shaveen King, expressed that if Kendrick had been white, the case would have been handled differently. His family searches for the truth. Kendrick Johnson's parents released a photo to the media of their son's face as he lay in the funeral home. The photo, in which Kendrick Johnson's face is extremely swollen, almost does not look human. The public was horrified by the photo and began to rally around the Johnsons in their quest for the truth. On May 8, 2013, a judge granted Kendrick Johnson's body be exhumed. A private pathologist was hired to carry out a second autopsy. This time, the autopsy revealed that Kendrick Johnson had suffered hemorrhaging on the right side of his neck, which meant that he likely died from blunt force trauma. Pathologist concluded his death was not an accident. On top of this, the second autopsy revealed that some of Johnson's organs were missing and in their place, his body had been stuffed with newspaper. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations, GBI, claimed that when the body was sent to the funeral home after the first autopsy, Johnson's organs had been put back inside the body. However, the coroner said these organs were not sent to the funeral home because they were too decomposed and were instead disposed of beforehand. The funeral home said that it received the body without organs, which it replaced with paper or sawdust as is common practice while embalming. The Johnsons did try to sue the funeral home for mishandling their son's body, and perhaps having done so in order to cover up his true cause of death, but this case was dropped. Regardless, the organs were lost and could not be tested during the second autopsy, which further aroused suspicions in Johnson's parents that this was a cover-up. As a result of this new evidence, Matthew Moore, the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia, announced a formal review of the case. The Johnsons hoped for a coroner's inquest, which would begin the process of reclassifying the cause of Kendrick Johnson's death as non-accidental and reopening the investigation. Quest, however, was denied, even though the coroner Bill Watson had originally expressed a lack of confidence in the sheriff department's handling of the case. Surveillance footage and suspects finally emerged. CNN gained access to the school's security footage on the day that Kendrick Johnson was killed, but upon viewing it, realized that it offered little insight into what happened that day. The cameras which faced the mats were unfocused and skipped around. All that could be seen from the cameras was Kendrick Johnson walking towards the gym, and then several seconds of footage of him jogging within the gym. He was never shown within or leaving the gym, and indeed, he never did show up for his following classes. Furthermore, a whole hour of footage from the gym was missing, right at the time, which would have shed light on what happened that day.
So that means that someone cut it up.
Finding further increased the confidence of doubters that this death was an accident.
Someone cut it up.
Then, in 2014, Kendrick Johnson's parents filed a wrongful death suit against the school's officials, alleging that Johnson had been harassed by a white student which went neglected by the school, perhaps due to his race. Ebony.com described the murder of Johnson to have been at the hands of two white brothers, though they did not include names. Description of these brothers closely resembled that of Brian and Brandon Bell, who the magazine claimed had killed Kendrick because of a fight they had had over a year earlier which had escalated. The Johnsons also accused the brother's father, an FBI agent at the time, of covering up the
Oh, they
murder
got
by
links
manipulating the
too?
school and authorities
Oh,
involved in investigating Johnson's death. In 2015, the Johnsons filed a $100 million civil lawsuit against 38 people, including 3 of their son's classmates, the school, the local crime lab, state and federal officials, 5 agents of the GBI, an FBI agent, and more. Parents asserted that the sons of the FBI agent killed Johnson and used their connections to cover up the investigation.
not surprised.
Johnson's father, however, admitted that he had no hard evidence to back up any of these claims and the Johnsons had to drop the suit. Pursued for more than $850,000 in attorney fees and more than $1 million in defamation charges. Were ultimately ordered by a judge to pay close to $300,000 worth of lawyers' fees to those they had accused with no evidence. A widely unsatisfying conclusion in the case of Kendrick Johnson. In June 2016, the Department of Justice announced no charges would be filed against anyone in relation to Kendrick Johnson's death, considering there was insufficient evidence to support federal criminal charges. As far as the feds were concerned, the case was officially, and finally, closed. But Johnson's parents would still not give up. In June 2018, Kendrick Johnson's body was exhumed for a second time and a third autopsy was performed. Findings of the second autopsy, that Johnson's death was not accidental and caused by blunt force trauma likely due to
Same
being
result.
struck in the neck with a 45-pound dumbbell, were confirmed.
Same result.
Kendrick Johnson's parents hoped that with the results of this third autopsy, the surveillance footage which they were convinced had been tampered with, and the mishandling of evidence at the scene, would be enough to reopen their son's case. It does appear, however, that their quest for answers has only led to more questions. Reopening the Kendrick Johnson investigation after 8 years. Finally, in March 2021, authorities reopened their investigation into Kendrick Johnson's death. According to Lowndes County Sheriff Ashley Polk, if there's questions, and they're legitimate, I need to know the answers myself. The only way I'm going to know is to look at the evidence myself. Polk and his team were able to secure a wealth of evidence from federal authorities, in part thanks to an appeal from Johnson's family in November 2020. The sheriffs believed they had enough evidence in hand to perhaps allow them to solve this mystery once and for all. It's been 8 long years, said Kendrick Johnson's mother, Jacqueline, feeling hopeful. However, after nothing came of the investigation, the Johnson family filed suit against Lowndes County in September 2023, only to have the judge rule against them the following month. Though the family of Kendrick Johnson is still fighting, the case remains unresolved more than a decade after his bizarre, tragic death.
Okay, so my thing is from this, what I got from this is that how there's links to the law. The people concerned didn't get arrested. I also came across a small video as well talking about the fight between Kendrick and the white boy. I've also seen I think it is the evidence. Let me see, I can find it. The evidence of the mat. Of the mat as well, how the body was positioned. Let me see if I can find it, the diagram of it. Because it's like he was put into it. And then there's blood on the walls. So there most probably was a fight. Most probably was some kind of fight or scuffle. Let me see if I could find a diagram. I can't find it. I found the diagram before. Oh, yes, here it is. Let me see, I can get a close-up of the diagram. It's not going to turn around for me. So we'll make a biggest picture of it. So we can see how the body was positioned in the mat. Let me see if I've done it right. Yeah. Okay. So this is the diagram of the body in the mat. And they said he's 5 foot something. So his arm is tucked under the head and the arms out. And in the next picture, they said he was reaching in to get his trainers. So we'll put that on the screen so you can see the positioning of how they said he could have fell, so-called fell. Let me see. There's another thing that I want to also look into too. The positions of the mat. Well, how the mat was lying down. It was like it was hidden behind something. So the mat was hidden behind other mats. Okay, so we're going to get a close-up of that one too. So it was hidden behind other mats. So that's deliberate. That means that it was put behind other mats, because if you look at the screen, you see other mats. And it was laid down. Okay, next one. So on this diagram, they said, according to Sid Jones Johnson was likely sitting or stopped the collection of the mats when one of his shoes dropped into the center. Students at school often sit atop those mats, and police and students said Johnson's friend told investigators they shared the sneakers and would store them under the mats for each other to retrieve it. Lieutenant Jones believed Johnson may have been running late for class and decided against removing the mats to get to the one where his shoes was located. So they done a screen. Let's do the screen fit. So this is the screen fit, and this is how the students would retrieve. I don't know whether you can see it. Hold on, let me get a better one. Let's get a better one. Oh, it's not very good. I can't get it. So the students will retrieve their trainers from under these mats. And I think this is a video of the surveillance. Let me see, I could turn it the other way around. Well, it's failed. Okay, I don't know why it's failed. Let me see if there's another video to it.
Now, for months, the family of Kendrick Johnson tape released to the at his high school. But now experts are saying that the hundreds of hours of tape released to the family look suspicious at his high school. But now experts are saying that the hundreds of hours of tape released to the family look suspicious and that they're leading to more questions than answers. An exclusive interview with CNN's Anderson Cooper, forensics expert Grant Frederick said that there were major problems with the surveillance tapes that the school provided to investigators.
Those files are not original files. They're not something that an investigator should rely on
See, I
for
could
the truth
find
of the
them.
video. They've been altered in a number of ways, primarily in image quality, and likely in dropped informational loss. They're also they've not been processed correctly, and they're not playable. So I can't say why they were done that.
The Lowndes County School District insists that they did not edit these files that they provided to police. Kendrick Johnson was found dead in January, his body rolled up inside a gym mat in the school's gymnasium. And the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office has ruled his death accidental. But Johnson's family say that they don't believe that their son who's young and athletic, could have died in such a way. And they allege that local sheriffs didn't follow protocol in their investigation. In October, U.S. Attorney Michael Moore said that federal prosecutors would be looking into this case.
So they're saying that their defense is that how it was accidental, right? But when I've looked into others, hold on, there is also I'm gonna start blocking people who I don't recognize on my lives as well. I'm gonna start doing that too. Because I think people that they don't look at the things, they just jump up on stuff and whatever. I'm not in it at all. Okay. Let me see. There was an argument between him and another person, though. I'm trying to find the one where they explain about the argument between him and the other person. This is not a chit chat thing. We're not chit chat. So if you're here to chit chat, you might as well go back your business. Ain't no chit chatting over here.
Jenny, what are you?
No chit chatting. Hold on, I've got to find the one. There's one where he had a fight with the boy. I came across it the other day, and now I can't find it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to extract it. Because it's a real serious thing. Ain't no play thing. I'm not here for no play. Okay. All right. So there's a documentary done on this thing. Oh yeah, here it is. There was a fight between the two boys.
When I tell y'all this,
There's a fight between the boys. Hold on, if I can find this lady cutting onto that. Can't even find it now. There was a fight between the boys as well. So I am I'm gonna be getting rid of these ones entering the chat, because you lot don't watch nobody's stuff. You just come and you just spam up the chat. I'm not my chats. So I don't spam my chats. They're for serious people who's into what I'm talking about now, not for play. So I most probably might end up blocking people sooner or later. Right. So this is the guy that Kendrick had a fight with earlier as well. This is one of the Bell brothers, whose father is an FBI agent.
guy, when I listen to this, okay? Kendrick Johnson case. Talking about he can't remember.
At school, we was on a bus trip for a playoff game. Brian, you know the kind of person he is. He joking around, he playing. But when he playing, he playing rough. You know what I'm saying? Kind of almost like a bully. So him and KJ sitting together in the back seat, and he grabbed his dreads, and he hold his head down with his dreads, and he laughing, he picking at it. So when KJ get up, and he get his hands off of his dreads and start fighting. I was in the seat right in front of him, see the whole thing. Anybody in that situation is gonna fight. So they got to fighting. He got the best of him. Hey, Brian ain't like that too much. After that fight, they made KJ go and ride in the deputy's car, but they let Brian sit in the stand with his parents and watch the game. Kid the family one day and said, "Dad," I said, "Yeah." He said, you know how you can be standing up, you can be standing up doing something, you just feel somebody looking at you.
The hatred, innit?
He said, well, I turned around and seen Brandon staring at me, just standing there staring at me. And I've been hearing he telling people at school that it's not over. He said, but I ain't worried about it. He said, I ain't worried. He said, I wish you would say something to me. So one other day, Kendrick came home. He said, Rick Bell, Brian's daddy, came up to me at school. He said, he told me that the fight was on the bus. It wasn't a fair fight. That I should come over to their house and refight Brian. So I said, Kendrick, what'd you say? He said, I looked at him like he was crazy, and I turned around and walked off. But you're an FBI agent. You supposed to make sure stuff going right every day, but you want kids to come fight again. And he, of course, denies this conversation. Of course, Of course. And then we come back to school, and Brian is acting funny. Usually he'd stop by and he'd speak to us when he walked past the wall that we sitting on in between classes. But after this happened, he takes a different route. He don't come through there no more. And this before anybody even thinking it's him. He just took it upon himself to go a different route to his classes. Why, after this happened, do you start taking different routes around the school? That was like, it was like a no-brainer. Like, you moving different. Why? When all this happened, Kendrick didn't have no beef with nobody else. Kendrick wasn't into it with nobody else. They were the only one. And then we come to find out, they were the only ones didn't get interviewed.
Y'all, when I tell y'all this right here, this guy.
So, from my understanding of that little bit there, is that how he got into a fight with this guy on the bus, and obviously later on now, right, he started giving him the evils, and he kept saying to people in the school that the fight was not over. So, the father of the boy that Kendrick fight was saying that how the boy that how it was an unfair fight and they need to fight again. Now I know in most states there is a lot of racism and stuff going on, and some of it still continue to this day. I mean, Albury got unalive because he was walking around a an estate, and then two men ran him down and unalived him. This is kind of like the same situation. The difference is that how the boys are in the same school. So Kendrick being probably a bigger boy, not only was he big, he was very sporty, and he must have defended himself against the boy, and the boy's ego was hurt. So obviously the other side of the matters wasn't happy about it because his son probably didn't win the fight, and so they obviously, like, and I'm just saying, maybe allegedly get their own back on him. So the next thing I'm going to look into as well, the CCTV. Not only that, I feel that how the gym one was like there's missing videos, so they edited stuff out, maybe of the boys going to the gym, and it was edited because there's footage of him walking through the school hallway before he entered the gym. So we're gonna watch that one too.
Know that thousands of hours of surveillance, Anderson, are coming. 40 cameras about in that area of the gym, up to 48 hours for each camera. So our math, 1,900 plus hours. Now we do have a clip of what's happening inside the gym at the moment that Kendrick Johnson walks in. Remember, the school's attorney says that there were other minors in the gym. Those minors, we've blurred them to protect their identity, but they're playing basketball near the camera. We see Kendrick run at the bottom of the screen to the far side of the court. Now, we know that that's where the mats are, and we know this is just a few minutes before, according to police, that's when he went inside the mat. So we're waiting for the rest of this, what we're told is a massive file that could come in the next few days, Anderson.
And I mean, in that video, the gym all looks very open. The mats, are they visible to the people in the gym? I mean, we see Kendrick running on the lower right-hand side of the screen and other folks playing basketball. Are the mats in another room, or are they out in the open? Do we know?
Can't
No,
see
they're
them.
in the gym. We've seen still
They're on the
photographs of the
corner.
map of the gym. They are in, if you're looking at the screen, they would be in the top right corner, just outside of the screen. That's the corner in which Kendrick Johnson was found. Now, there is no specific timestamp on this, so we don't know how long it was between this game of basketball with the people who were there, the other students, and when he went into those mats. But we're hoping to get all the different angles and put that together in the next few days.
All right. And there are hundreds of pages of unredacted reports. Were investigators focusing on anyone specific? Do we know?
Well, we do know that they were focusing on a few students at Lowndes High School. We know that they pulled their attendance records, they pulled their class schedules, but just a few students, and they didn't do it for all of the other people, of course, at the school or even all of his classes. And there was one student who was not a student at this high school, but another local high school. They interviewed and had fill out a survey and asked about his involvement with Kendrick Johnson in the few days leading up to his death.
So this is him in the hallway walking towards the gym. So we're going to see him again walking towards the gym. So if there's missing footage, is that it's been doctored? Is that the footage has been taken out? The footage has been taken out. Something's amiss.
He was nice, bright, funny guy. He was a character. He was athletic. And, he just loved to smile and laugh and have fun. He played football, basketball, and ran track.
What were his dreams?
Football, play football for the Gators.
A high school student is found in a rolled up gym mat, dead by classmates. It's ruled an accident, but was it? That's our bold question for our jury. Was the high school gym mat death a murder? Welcome to the HLNTV.com evidence room. I'm here with Joseph Scott Morgan, former death investigator. And all the evidence that you're going to see now, you can see on our website, HLNTV.com/afterdark, if you want to take a closer look. Let's take a look at some of these photos. Let's first get.
All right, let's
start here, Joseph Scott Morgan, with this picture. They say the gym mat was inverted, so it was perpendicular to the ground, right? It's vertically, is the way he's found. His sneakers are there. He's like this. He dies. Does that make any sense to you?
No, it really doesn't, Ben. And then we begin to talk about these things like positional asphyxia that they're bringing in. It's not uncommon to find people in tight spaces that essentially can no longer breathe because they're compromised as a result of being in this particular position. But for a young man that's rather strong to be in a mat like this, that's made out of foam essentially, to be inverted and not be able to tip the thing back over. And what's really strange is that his shoes are off of his feet and they're immediately adjacent to the
I want to show folks the shoes because there's a video clip that we grabbed right here. Yeah. And if you look down here, you can see that he's wearing these white shoes into the gym. This is a surveillance video. We took a screen grab of that video. So you can see he's wearing white sneakers in there. Now, the allegation is that the entire thing is all about these sneakers, that these sneakers were at the bottom of that gym mat. And he was climbing in trying to retrieve them because that's where he kept these sneakers.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you, the fact that the blood is found here at the bottom on these shoes?
Well, let me explain to you what can happen if you're in an inverted position and you're looking at positional asphyxia. It is possible for you to generate blood out of the small vessels in your nose and in your mouth. This is a copious amount of blood, a lot.
They said that the autopsy said that it was blunt force to the neck and blunt force to the neck. So someone hit him in the back of the neck and the blood must have splattered on the wall as well as to the trainers. The blood must have run out. You know that the body loses a lot of blood when it is hit in a certain way, because remember our body is made of 99 90 is it 99% water, we're full of plasma, and like if you're hit in a certain way, the blood's going to escape to a vast it's going to come out a lot. So they're saying that asphyxia does not necessarily mean that it's asphyxia. It is like because it was said that there was blunt trauma to the head, it was blunt trauma to the neck. It was said a few times. It was even said in the article. So when his body was exhumed, so what they're doing, they're fishing. They're trying to change what was found on the autopsy. And let's go see the autopsy. Right, let's see the autopsy. Okay, so should have the autopsy here somewhere. It's normally here. I'm not going to show you how his face looked, how bloated it looked when they found him, because it's not a pretty sight. So this is the third autopsy that happened.
Well, turning now to the growing mystery surrounding the death of a Georgia teenager.
Students finding 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson's body inside a rolled-up gym mat at a high school. That was back in 2013. Well, now the latest autopsy is revealing new details in this case. Heather's back with those new developments.
Yeah, big twist in this case. Local and state investigators, ruled Kendrick Johnson's death an accident. His parents, though, have always insisted that he was murdered. So here's a timeline of events. It was back on January 11th, 2013, when Johnson's body was found rolled up in a gym mat at a high school in Valdosta. 3 days later, investigators for the first time called his death an accident. In September 2013, though, an independent autopsy found that Johnson died from non-accidental blunt force trauma. In June 2016, the Justice Department found insufficient evidence to support federal criminal charges. Well, tonight, a third autopsy now reveals that Kendrick Johnson died from non-accidental injuries. It finds his cause of death as blunt force trauma to his right neck and upper chest. Now, that is a complete reversal from the initial autopsy that determined
so they hit him in his chest and his neck.
Asphyxia. So Johnson's family still believes their son was murdered. That foul play is suspected. They also accuse law enforcement and school officials of a cover-up, which those officials deny. It is not known how these new autopsy results will have an impact, if they will have any impact at all, on this case. Anthony?
This is a HelloFresh box with everything you need to turn these ingredients into.
So there's blunt trauma to the chest and the neck. So they must have knocked him out a few times. They caught him on a whiz and they knocked his chest and his head. I think that's why there's blood on the wall of the gym, because there's blood on the gym. Hold on, let me find the blood on the gym. There's blood on the gym, something to do with his tongue. He bit his tongue or something. So they exhumed his body 3 times. Need to go to the exhuming part of the body. That's important. Oh, it's not playing. Okay, what's the part I was looking for now?
Family demand inquest into teenager's gym mat death claiming foul play. Published by Daily Mail. Johnson's family says that conflicting autopsy reports should be re-examined by authorities. Attorney for the family believes Johnson's death was foul play. In grisly photos from the gym where Kendrick Johnson, 17, was found dead in a wrestling mat in January emerged earlier this month. However, much of the potential evidence shown in the images was left by detectives and not tested. Johnson's body was found in rolled-up mat and initial reports said he fell in while reaching for a shoe. Law enforcement officials ruled Kendrick's death an accident based on official autopsy
It's not an
reports.
accident if he's got blood
Johnson
forced
family
to his
commissioned
neck
independent
and his
autopsy,
chest.
which determined teen died from non-accidental blunt force trauma. Family of a Georgia boy found dead in a rolled-up wrestling mat in January announced Tuesday that they've demanded a judge to request a coroner's inquest into the boy's death, claiming that conflicting autopsy reports should be re-examined by authorities. A lawyer for the family of 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson believes that by re-examining the autopsy reports, authorities would find that Johnson's death was not a tragic accident, but that foul play was involved. How could you, in the midst of all these questions, deny this family an opportunity to have an investigation into the cause and manner of their child's death? Bean King asked Tuesday. This is one way in which that investigation could be reopened. Warning: graphic content. This isn't the first time the Johnson family has asked Lowndes County Coroner Bill Watson for an inquest in the case. In March, they made a similar request. Watson later indicated that he would be willing to look at the case again, but never followed through. Refused to discuss the case during a recent interview with CNN. The Johnsons' attorney said he expects a judge to hear the request by October 30th. Kenneth Johnson told reporters that he expected the fight to reopen the case to be tough, adding that, "Kendrick was my son. Can't be no harder than that." Authorities ruled Johnson's January death an accident after state medical examiners said he tragically suffocated after getting stuck in the wrestling mat while reaching for a sneaker. But federal agent turned private investigator Harold Kopis believes something more sinister happened in the gym that day and his family are convinced the outgoing teen was murdered. "Someone murdered him," Kenneth Johnson previously said. "They should be in jail." Kopis added to CNN, "I don't believe this was an accident. This young man met with foul play." A 15-minute video and nearly 700 photos were taken by investigators from Lowndes County Sheriff's Office in the immediate aftermath of Kendrick's death. The teen's face was bloated with pooled blood, and blood was also soaked in his dreadlocks and on the floor. There were more streaks of blood on a nearby wall, but investigators say this didn't belong to Johnson. A pair of orange and black sneakers were found a few yards from Kendrick.
Okay, the blood streaks newly obtained images taken by sheriff's investigators after Kendrick Johnson was found in January have raised questions about what really happened. Let me see if I can find where they talk about the blood thing. I'm going to talk about it. There were streaks of blood on the nearby wall, but the investigator said this didn't belong to Johnson. A pair of orange and black sneakers was found a few yards from Kendrick's body, according to CNN. Kendrick's father believes that the authorities are hiding what they know, and they know something happened in the gym, and they don't want it to come out, he said. A sneaker, I'll show you the picture of the sneaker in a minute. The shoes are splattered with red though the authorities deny this was blood. Therefore, they didn't collect the shoes as evidence. The TV network reported a hoodie was also left at the scene. The discarded potential evidence shook Corpus, who is now running checks on the items to determine who they belong to. So they belong to someone else. If you are running a crime scene, then you are going to say the potential evidence. Obviously, we are going to check this out and find out who does it belong to, he said. In September, the Justice Department refused to open a civil rights investigation into Johnson's death, but the federal prosecutors in South Georgia are reviewing the video and photographs to determine whether a separate investigation is necessary. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Malcolm told CNN. Last month, the family began asking questions about a group of students who were recorded on security cameras heading into the gym moments after their son on the day he was killed. His body was discovered on the morning of January the 11th in the high school, high school's gym, after his parents reported him missing the night before. Earlier this month, King sent a new autopsy report cited by CNN to the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, the CBI, and the U.S. Attorney for Georgia Middle District, Lawson's County Coroners for review. The next step in the case will be to call the coroner's inquest to decide the case of the death in process resembling a grand jury. After noticing an inconsistency in the first autopsy report, the Johnson family asked a judge for permission to exhume their son's body. Well, that must have been the first time they did it. Conduct another autopsy, could be the second or the third. A request that was granted in May. Kendrick's body was resumed in June 15 by the Florida-based forensic expert Dr. William Anderson, who concluded that the teenager died from blunt force. Let me repeat, blunt force, trauma to the right neck and soft tissues near the carotid artery consist with inflicted injuries. So, blunt force, trauma to the right of the neck and soft tissues near the artery of the neck, the carotid artery. King said the findings appeared consistent with an possible assault. The results of the independent autopsy appear to derail with the report written by the EMTS, who first exhumed Kendrick's body on January the 11th, 2013, which indicated that they observed bruising to the right side jaw. And he is a very handsome boy. The first responders' findings, however, were later reported by subsequently reports filed by the crime lab that handled the case. I'm saying it slowly. The CBI autopsy, which cited no significant injuries. However, there is a spokesman for every bureau. A spokesman for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said the agency stands by its report after renewing the findings of the independent autopsy. King Johnson's family doesn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it neither. Neither the GBI nor the sheriff office to take the objective second look at the case. So the family wants answers. Kendrick Johnson's parents has always questioned the official version of what happened to their son on the day of January 10th, 2012, rejecting the idea that the athletic boy, he's athletic, he's sporty, he's a fit boy, accidentally suffocated after being lodged in a rolled up mat while retrieving shoes. I think he was put in there personally, but that's just me. The parents suggested that their son, who was 5'10", okay, he's not very tall, but still, he's athletic, would not have tried to reach all the way down into a mat. He would have pushed the mat over to grab his sneakers, since the mat was about 6 feet tall. Because, yeah, it would have been taller than him. And there was no way his arms could reach the bottom. he would probably would have pushed the mat and he would have retrieved his sneakers. Another key factor in the width of the opening of the roll mat, measuring 14.5 inches across. 14.5 inches across. Okay, we're going to look at a photo of how small this all his legs wrapped in it. We're going to look at it, and I'll be taking off the spamming. Do not spam my chat, or I will block. So this is his. That's the size of the mat that he was. I would say he was put in there. They probably someone lift him up and put him in there. Okay. How big did I say the mat was again? Where is it? 14.5 inches across. So someone need to lift him up and put him in there. Put him into that mat. After they hit him and knocked him out completely, they put him in the mat. The parents claim Kendrick, whose shoulders measured 19 inches across, would not have even fit into the opening because the opening is quite small. Yeah, you can see by the picture. Also, a question has been raised as to why none of the people who visited the gym that day spotted Johnson's legs sticking out of the mat, which would have been the case where he had fallen in with his arms stretched out. Because obviously when you're reaching for something, you put both your arms out. You don't have one arm out and one arm the next way. No. I feel that they couldn't fit him in, so they moved his arm and then they put him in. It is likely the boy would not have lost consciousness at once, leading these skeptical of the investigators' version of events to wonder why didn't Kendrick scream for help? Because he was knocked out. He was unconscious. And if he did, why none of the students who came to the gym to play basketball heard his voice? Because he was knocked out and he was unconscious. The sneakers, which are at the heart of the Georgia Bureau of Investigations theory, present another problem. If Kendrick fell while reaching to retrieve his shoes from the bottom of the mat, why did they end up lodged between his lower body, so it's low, like the leg, like, where you bend, innit? I think that's where I see the picture. And inside of the mat, as if it fell in after him. So they knocked him out, and then, I am just fearing right now, but they knocked him out. He's unconscious. He's probably totally gone. He's probably unalive by this time. Droplets of blood, which did not belong to Kendrick, so belonged to someone else. So I don't understand why they didn't investigate this properly, but maybe, and let me see, I want to see the part where they live, the part where they're living, if there is racial problems there. Because that's that part as well. Those got to be considered. Okay, so Kendrick was 5'10" and 160-pound, multi-talented athlete. He attended all of his classes on the Monday. So he attended his classes on the day that he was unalive. Just after 1 p.m., he entered the gym and he never came out alive. And some hours later, they found him. So that was 8 hours later, they found him. They really failed his family. They failed the family. This family needs to go and get a lawsuit against these people, to be honest. Let me get a better picture of him in case I use this one. That's Kendrick. He is a fairly small boy, but I will say There was obviously some foul play used. Definitely foul play was used. Okay. And his face was bloated. Where the blood rushed, his face was bloated. I think they even said some of the dreads were snatched out of his head as well. Now, these are the shoes where it wasn't his blood. Somebody else's blood was splattered on the shoes and on the top. Interesting. I ain't a detective, but I will say that if they did take a swap from them shoes, they would have found out who was in the gym with him. From a wild guess. From a wild guess. Okay. They didn't do their job properly. They failed his parents. And she has a picture of her son looking bloated it's similar to Emmett Till, or worse than Emmett Till situation. So I'm not going to show that picture. So it's obviously a vendetta. Let me see. Oh, the organs part. That's another thing. Where did his organs go? Why did they take his organs out of his body? So the body parts are missing. A newly released footage of Kendrick Johnson last moments, the latest in troubling death investigation. I don't know what they're gonna say. His organs was missing. Hold on. Let's get to the organs part. Let's get to the organs part now. Now that's even very interesting that they took out his organs. Why did they take out his organs? Why? Now let's see the missing part. What missing part of his organs was missing? Shoot for the sky. I don't think it's that. What they said. What was missing? I don't think that's the one. No, that's not the one. I hate when you know when you're looking for something you can't find what you're looking for. I want to get to the missing organs. Let me see if I can get it somewhere else.
It's the second time Jacqueline Johnson cried next to her son Kendrick's grave. The first time he was being lowered into the ground. This time he's being pulled out of it. Did you ever expect you'd have to exhume his body?
In June, Kendrick's body was sent to Florida. The Johnsons hired Dr. Bill Anderson to conduct an independent second autopsy. In that autopsy, Anderson told the Johnsons he found evidence that Kendrick died as the result of a blow to the neck and not accidental asphyxia after slipping into a rolled gym mat at school, as investigators in Georgia had said. But what Dr. Anderson did not find shocked them.
When we got the body for the second autopsy, that organs, the heart, lungs, liver, etc., were not with the body. The brain, they were all absent.
Most of his organs plus his brain was removed. So there's the organ. Let me see what he said. Let's repeat that again.
What Dr. Anderson did not find shocked them.
When we got the body for the second autopsy, that organs, the heart, lungs, liver, etc., were not with the body.
The brain?
Brain, they were all absent.
Every organ from the top of Kendrick's head to his pelvis gone, and his family had no idea.
We have been let down again. And when we buried Kendrick, we thought we was burying Kendrick, not half of Kendrick.
I'm not sure at this point who did not return the organs to the body. But I know when we got the body, the organs were not there.
So CNN contacted the two entities that had custody of Kendrick's body and access to his organs: the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, which conducted the first autopsy in January, and Harrington Funeral Home, which the Johnsons chose to embalm and prepare Kendrick's body for burial days later. A spokeswoman for the state tells CNN after its autopsy, the organs were placed in Johnson's body, the body was closed, then the body was released to the funeral home. State investigators say it's their normal practice, but what happened after his body arrived at the funeral home was anything but normal.
What was in the place of the organs?
Newspaper.
Newspaper.
Dr. Anderson showed me the pictures of Kendrick's body he'd taken during the second autopsy.
It's a Black Friday ad, JCPenney ad.
Yes.
Stuffing that newspaper in like he was a garbage can inside his body. It's unbelievable.
I'd imagine that that's a different kind of pain.
Yeah.
Why do you think that there would be newspaper stuffed in your child?
I never heard of that before. Never.
Neither had the founder of a National Embalming Academy contacted by CNN, who said it's not consistent with the standards of care in the industry, nor had the president of the National Association of Medical Examiners, who told CNN he's never heard of this practice.
Why would the funeral home discard his organs and stuff them with newspaper?
The question is, why did he tell us?
So what exactly did the Harrington Funeral Home do with Kendrick's organs? And why was he stuffed with old newspaper? We went to their office to find out, but their response to us? No comment. However, in a letter to the Johnsons' attorney, Harrington Funeral Home owner Antonio Harrington denies he received Kendrick's organs. He writes in part, his internal organs were destroyed through natural process and henceforth were discarded before the body was sent back to Valdosta.
So that's a whole fit child, athletic child, and his organs are disappeared. It's not in his body. But then they're saying that how it was like there was something wrong with the organs. Now he's an athletic child. He obviously looked after his body. He has obviously, and the fact that they stuffed it with newspaper, that's beyond me. That is really beyond me. And now and then they give an excuse straight after. Interesting. Gets better by the minute, doesn't it? Gets better by the minute. So we're gonna go check and look at the funeral home. What was said at the funeral home? Let me see. The funeral home. So the funeral home that prepared Kendrick Johnson's body for public viewing and burial by reportedly stuffing his cavity with newspapers and other filler material to replace internal organs removed during an autopsy did not break state law. The Georgia Board of Funeral Service has concluded, but the board also said in a letter to the Johnsons, the Harrington Funeral Home, decisions to replace the autopsied organ with newspaper is not considered best practice for embalming. The board in a report released Thursday said filling a body cavity, a necessary preparation to present a deceased body for public viewing, adding, however, that there are other materials acceptable than newspapers. For that purpose, the state agency investigated the funeral home handling of Johnson's body after the family complained to the state about discovering the newspapers when the body was exhumed for a second autopsy. The papers replaced, it doesn't say what it was replaced with. Well, it was replaced with newspapers. That's his organs. So they took his brain, his brain, his liver, his heart. They took a lot of organs. So where did the organs go? Where did the organs go? So that's a hollow body. They hollowed out his body, basically, in a nutshell. They hollowed out his body. Stop spamming the chat. Anyway, the chat's going anyway, so it's no big deal. I'm gonna cut it out anyway. So they filled his body cavity with newspaper. I think this is there's gonna be another one after this. Because I can't put it all in and I'm already reached 1 hour mark already. He's from Georgia. Okay, the family of Kendrick Johnson sues funeral home for fraud negligence.
Family of Kendrick Johnson sues funeral home for fraud, negligence. Published by the Black Youth Project. The family of a Georgia teen who mysteriously died in his high school gymnasium last year has filed a lawsuit against the funeral home that handled his remains. The lawsuit charges Harrington Funeral Home in Valdosta, Georgia with negligence and fraud. From CNN. Johnson's parents were shocked to learn in June, when they ordered a second autopsy, that the young man's organs were missing and had been replaced with newspaper. Investigation by a state board found that the handling of the body by the funeral home did not violate the law. In the lawsuit, filed January 31st and amended Wednesday, the family alleges that not only did the funeral home mishandle the organs, it disposed of them to thwart an investigation into Johnson's cause of death. Lawsuit challenges the morally despicable, fraudulent, unlawful and unfair business practices of Harrington Funeral Home, the court document states. Antonio Harrington, intentionally, willfully and secretly, desecrated Johnson's remains, the lawsuit claims. Read more at CNN. 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found rolled up in a gym mat in January 2013. Mound County Sheriff's Officer has repeatedly stood by its original determination that Johnson's death was accidental, but his family suspects foul play after an autopsy at their expense showed other evidence. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations has said it returned organs to Johnson's body before sending it to the funeral home. Funeral home claims the organs were missing when the body arrived. Coroner for Lowndes County said many of Johnson's organs were deemed too badly decomposed to be preserved. Do you suspect the funeral home of foul play?
Yes.
Thoughts on the case overall?
Yes. A lot of foul play there. There's a lot of foul play, but then again, the boys who is caught up in the investigation, dad is a big FBI agent. So a lot of things can be done. They can pay off a lot of people. That is so wrong. Gave them an empty body. So they didn't even bury the boy whole. That will pee me off as a parent. That really ticked me off. There's a lot of foul play in this. Anyways, I'm gonna do part 2 tomorrow because there's a part where they got through no pictures. Hold on. There's a lot of foul play in this. And these guys are still walking free. Isn't that interesting? They're walking free because they got links. Oh, so that was Baltimore. Okay. So we have always been innocent. This is the brothers now. We have always been innocent. Brothers who was accused in the unexplained death of the classmate who was found rolled up in the gym mat speak out for the first time. Okay, well, let's hear this BS. The two Georgia brothers who are under investigation over the mysterious death, unaliving, of one of their classmates found rolled up in a high school gym mat have given their first interview and denied having an involvement. Of course, they're not going to say that they did it, did they? I don't understand. When these reporters report, do they really think they're going to give themselves away? The body of the 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was discovered in the center of an upright mat propped against the gym. Propped. That's his. So that's. I think this one actually. Yeah. Hold on. However, right, we're not going to go through what they said because we are already been through how the mat was propped already. However, Johnson's family are convinced that he was unalive and have filed $1,000 million wrongful death lawsuit naming brothers Brian and Brandon Bell as the ones responsible for the violently assaulting Johnson. Of course, they're going to plead the fifth, innit? We have nothing to hide, and the truth always comes out. Brandon Bell told the network, I want everyone to know the truth, and they can ridicule me, and they can say whatever they want, but in the end, the truth will prevail. Well, let's hope that something comes to light by the end, by the people there, the bigger forces, unseen ones. Me and my brother has been innocent and will always be innocent. No, I don't think you're innocent. I don't think you guys are innocent. Okay? Neither me or my family had anything to do with his death. His Johnson's death. That's who they mean. His death. Both brothers said that they did not see Johnson on the day that he died. And they also claimed to have alibis for the time that he went into the school gymnasium and did not return. Brian Bell, a star college football player, said he broke down when his dorm room was raided last month. Well, they should have raided a little more. I broke down and cried, honestly, he said. It's never over. My dad is always like, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it just keeps getting worse. Well, of course, I hope they give you help. Ryan maintains he was in the class at the time that Johnson died and he has proof. Brian Bell said he was preparing to go to wrestling because he's part of the wrestling team. Brian also addressed that some surveillance footage of him near the gym and a spot. He said the shot of him in the white sweater, which led to speculate that it appeared to have blood on it, was actually just the logo, said RLX. But yeah, okay. Phones and computers belonging to Brian and Brandon Bell and their father, FBI agent Rick Bell, their mother, and Brian Bell's girlfriend was seized according to Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So they seized everything. Tuesday at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, the Bell family was awoken at their home by a government agent executing search warrants in the federal grand jury investigation about the death of Kendrick Johnson, which is almost 2 years old. Well, it's 8 years later now. A case in which no one has been indicated and in which there is no evidence to implicate involvement of the Bells or any member of the Bell family, said the family's attorney. Yes, of course they're going to have attorney. And he's a football player. He's a jock. That's what they say in America. He's a jock. So he might have done something. Well, I mean, they had a fight. They had a whole fight. Boys, they like to prove their manhood. I'm stronger than you and blah de blah. I feel he had something to do with it. I feel that I'm actually gonna go read a little more of this tomorrow because I need to go fix my thing because there is a lot in this. There's a lot. There's a lot. They should definitely put a lawsuit onto these people for wrongfully one taking organs out of their child body. Now that is really taking the what. That's taking. And the fact that, like, once again, I feel that he didn't fall into the mat. I feel they knocked him out, unalived him, and then they stuck him in the mat. And his arm obviously dropped down. One of the arms dropped down. That's what I feel happened. That's what I feel happened. And because of his size, I will believe the person have to be very strong to hoist him into the mat. Because that is a very small hole that he's in. And he definitely wasn't breathing when he entered that mat. He wasn't breathing. But I will continue this tomorrow because there's a lot. I might just make a little small video on it as well to add on to this because I want to actually get all of the pictures and stuff added to it. So with that said, I'm going to come off and I'll see you later. Please leave in the comments what you think. I believe it was foul play, and they said it a couple times. It is foul play involved. I believe Brian Bell, and whoever had a lot to do with it, because in all the pictures of the surveillance, you see Kendrick in the gym. You see him in the gym. You see him go into the gym. You just don't see him exit the gym. And there was a bunch of boys standing there when he entered the gym as well. I don't know whether they picked up on that as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to see, I might just do on the gym. Let's look at the gym parts as well. Because it seem like some people have looked at the gym, but I feel they haven't looked into it enough. I'm going to take a look into it. It might even be a 3-part. This might be, but sometimes like the bloggers might see something that they haven't seen. There's only that. It's a shame I'm not in America where I can say, well, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? Have you looked at this? And obviously, being the dad is an FBI agent. He have leverage, so maybe he must have not got certain things. When people's got money, they make things happen. And the fact that the organs was taken out of the body is really, that they said it was damaged, but the coroner didn't get the damaged organs with the body. But this will be another conversation tomorrow. So with that said, I'll see you later. Take care. Bye. And I'm getting rid of the chat because people are spamming my chat. So if you don't see no chat, that's why I've gotten rid of it. So with that said, I will see you later. Bye.